Congratulations, you guys have done a great job. A lot of hard work has gone into this. So my question is about the role of advisor. You guys have decided to take us down. It sounds like you're maybe primarily talking to us as the Frank family. And I guess my question is, should we each as a family have our own advisor? How are you going to get us to a place where we actually agree with, sort of this direction rather than investing all of this time and energy from the beginning? How would you recommend getting us on board with your plan as three families? Should we each have our own advisor? Should we all go with you? What would you suggest there?
Thank you so much for your question. We know that though you're unrelated, you call each other brothers. And we recommend that having a family office will ultimately be that unbiased third party that will ultimately resolve those conflicts that you were speaking about. So we don't recommend that you have your own separate advisors, but we recommend that in the family advisor, you have that one dedicated person that will speak to all three families about their priorities and try to align them for you. So that person will act as what maybe Luis Perez currently serves as, which is a consultant to all three families. We believe that having separate advisors, not within the family office, will ultimately cause conflict because not one person is aligning everybody. So we believe that this is why we need to establish the family office, which again, we have conflict resolution where a third party who is unbiased will help the families mitigate those conflicts that you're speaking about. Thank you for your question.
First off, team, thank you very much for your presentation, and also congratulations to making the finals. My question aims at the next generation, right? You decided to create these glide paths, so I'm wondering how you're trying to include the children of John, who are completely uninterested and actually partaking. They live in America with him. How do you ensure that they, as the next generation, are actually interested to participate in all of this?
Yeah, so part of our entry and exit paths is that even if John's children are completely uninterested, that's what defines their involvement in the company. So it's okay within our recommendation for them to be uninterested, but that's where the communication comes into play, establishing those glide paths. Because right now, even though they just tell their parents that they're uninterested, we're not actually sure what their future involvement is going to be. Additionally, with our E recommendation, with this new creation of classes, that's when we can transition the voting power to other next generation members, such as Frank's children, who might be more interested in the core operations of the business. Even though all the current shares would become Class A shares, with the introduction of Class B shares, that's how we would kind of mitigate that transition to the next generation if the next generation doesn't want to be involved like John's kids.
So thank you. Can you guys put up the 7th slide in your presentation, please? No, it's the one that says recommendation matrix.
Yes.
Maybe that's 6. I'm sorry. So I had a hard time following this. So in the context of looking at alternative potential other recommendations, can you explain me how you scored this out and why you concluded what you concluded here, given the other opportunities?
Yeah, sure,
or
definitely.
Alternatives. Thanks.
So I'll start with the bottom, feasibility and ease of implementation. Since we're staying with the status quo and just iterating within it, we believe that maintaining the family partnership would score the best on feasibility and ease of implementation. As we go to the right, it decreases along feasibility and ease of implementation because exiting, as we mentioned previously, there's a lot of risks you take on with selling your ownership stake and starting a new venture. And by taking on a loan to buy ownership from John, that would be increasingly risky because it would be really expensive. As for flexibility with ownership, we believe that with a transition to a sole proprietorship, there wouldn't be any flexibility because it would just be one family involved, probably the Perez family. If the family were to exit, there would be flexibility in who would be in control, but there would be completely separate entities, Premier versus this new venture. And then lastly, taking on a loan, it would also be flexible because they would buy out the new ownership and kind of decide themselves. So that's why we think we ranked a little bit lower on maintaining a three-family partnership because it's a little up in the air. So that's why we have that P recommendation. For involvement of next generations, we believe that exiting the Porras family would not be involved in next generations. The next generation would not be involved in Premier at all. Transitioning to a sole proprietorship and taking on a loan to buy ownership would also rank kind of in the middle because they would be involved, but we believe that through maintaining the three-family partnership, that would be the most involvement of the next generations if they so desired. So that's kind of what the R is about, that family room, establishing that family office, determining how involved like the next generation wants to be through conversations between the families. And then lastly, governance structures. We believe that maintaining a three-family partnership, while you've started to create those governance structures, you've stated yourself that they're not very well built out yet, but those are the goal of your future of the partnership meetings. So that's why it's ranked a little bit lower, but that's where we want to help you improve as well. It's ranked a little bit higher for a family exit and taking on a loan to buy ownership, just because that would more clarify what the path would be for governance. I hope that answered your question.
So I understand why this is attractive potentially to the Porras family. Explain to me, if I'm John Gross or Adam Lugo, why I would ever do this.
Yes, absolutely. So, as Adam or John, we know that there's conflicting interests with how often you want to be, how long you want to retain your stake in the company, and how you want to continue. And so, we understand that by maintaining the partnership model, we have a lot of flexibility with the amount of ownership. We're not changing the current ownership structure. So, even if you're John who owns 50% of the company, you can still maintain that ownership. We're not changing how that's being made, but we're just changing the decision making power of the next generation. So therefore, you still maintain your ownership. Secondly, for Adam, who maybe his kids are maybe interested in succeeding the business or rising in leadership, we are implementing a lot of strategies for the involvement of the next generation. So this is going to be really important for his children as we think about an internship program in the future as they grow of age, and think about integrating them into the business if he wants them to and if they choose to be so. Does that answer your question?
Tell me what you think success looks like in the short term and the long term. Any metrics or the way we operate? Tell me what you think success looks like.
Absolutely. Success is a functioning three-family business. So ultimately, in the next generation, we ultimately envision the Porras family having the kids succeeding the family business and ultimately running the business for a certain amount of time until the other kids feel that they should be comfortable coming into the business or deciding they don't want to be in the business at all. We believe that success is having a governing board that is able to strategize for the owners so that the owners feel like they can make decisions that they really need to focus on, such as philanthropy or other businesses, while not being stressed always about the current decisions of this real estate company. So we ultimately believe that although success is ultimately defining that, Okay, sorry about that. We ultimately believe that success is seeing the second generation succeed, which I know as parents, everybody wants to see. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, we really don't have, we only 15 seconds left. I don't think we'll ask another question. Thank you
Okay.
very much for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much.